Hi, everyone. Welcome to Composition, April 29th. Sorry I'm so weirdly backlit and the screen is like glaring into my glasses. Hopefully it's not too distracting. Anyway, so I'm going to try and make this video fairly quick. There's a lot of slides, but I'm not going to read off of them. I'm going to trust that you can read them. There are only, however, two main tasks that you're doing today. So first thing is revising your assertions based on my feedback. And the second thing is writing a thesis statement. So there's really only two tasks that you need to do. There's no classwork document for you to fill out today. It's just going in and revising your assertions and then writing your thesis statement. So let's get into it. So biggest issues with assertions from most common to least common. So the most common issue was that they were not clarified in scope. So if you saw the letter C on your assertion, that's what that means. Second most common issue, not all different reasons. So like you're kind of repeating the same reason multiple times in different assertions. Not relevant to the argument and not defensible. Those were less common, but still happened. So let's go over them. All right. One quick note also on counterclaims. You only need to acknowledge and refute a counterclaim in your first assertion. You don't need to do that in every assertion. The counterclaim that you refute needs to be relevant to the argument and specific. So a counterclaim is not, some may say technology is bad. That's not a counterclaim. A counterclaim is, although some may say technology creates shallow relationships, that's a specific claim on one side of the argument. So make sure that your counterclaim is specific. Okay, clarified in scope. So if I commented C on your assertion, you need to make it clarified in scope. So that means more specific. So to make something clarified in scope, you need to answer one of these three questions. Why? How? Or so what? Okay, so if you are answering one of those three questions, you are making it clarified in scope. So here, I'm going to give you some examples over here on the next slide. So this assertion, not specific, no why or how. Talking through technology allows people to be less authentic. You can ask why. Why does this make us more connected or disconnected, or why is this the case? Again, down here, so social media allows for people with different backgrounds to come together. So what? Who cares? Why should we care about this, right? What is the big outcome for society? There's another example down here with a how question. Again, I'm going to trust that you can read with your eyes, and I'm not going to read off the slide for you. Okay, repeating ideas. So if I commented that your assertions are similar or the same, just straight up the same, you need to come up with some more unique, different reasons for your side of the argument. So my big advice to you is to go back to the sources. So Sherry Turkle, Wired article, and the Pew data were the three sources that we looked at in class, or your own experience. Here is a gigantic list of ideas for assertions on both sides. Obviously, you would need to turn them into complete sentences and make them clarified in scope. But if you're stuck for ideas, first go back to the sources. Second, here are some ideas if you're still stuck. Okay. Third, make sure that your assertions are relevant to the argument. So basically, like I said last time, and I've been hammering on this the whole time, Sherry Turkle's argument is about relationships and human connection. So if your assertions talk about technology making you lazy, or technology making education easier or something like that, those are not relevant to the argument because the argument is focused on relationships. So the big question you need to ask yourself is technology good or bad for human connection? And in what ways is it good or bad for human connection? Okay, last thing. So defensible means your assertion needs to be an opinion, not a fact. So if I commented D on your assertion, that means it's not defensible. So you're stating a fact that can be proven true or false rather than an opinion. So one example is people putting data in their assertions. So saying like, most teens say that they feel better connected through social media. That's a fact from data, right? That's from Pew data. So a revision would be, I have to get myself out of the way here. People can actually connect better through social media due to being able to connect whenever they want. So instead of saying most teens say this, which is a fact, you would say, here's my opinion. Essentially, people can actually connect better. So that there's the difference. If you're confused with any of this stuff, come to office hours. This is hard. Okay, so you are now going to go revise your assertions. I put the criteria for success for this in the instructions for today's assignment as well. But basically, you are getting an assessment grade for the quality of your reply to my comments and whether you actually fix the issue. So again, if you're not sure how to revise, please come to office hours. You are getting a grade for how well you are revising. So you're going to use my comments to fix the issues, and use the previous slides, the examples I just gave you. You need to reply to at least 2 comments stating what the issue was specifically and how you fixed it. So my assertion was not clarified in scope because it did not have a why or how. So you need to tell me that you understand why this is a problem. And then I added a reason why social media causes people to be less authentic. So you need those 2 statements in your 2 replies. If you do not have any comments, this was very few of you, so this should not apply to many people. But if you do not have any comments, you need to add at least 2 comments on, or at least you need to add comments on at least 2 of your assertions saying why they meet the criteria for success. So basically, I'm just asking you to tell me, do you actually understand why your assertions are good and didn't need to be revised, essentially. Okay, so go revise your assertions, or if you would rather just continue with the video, great, we can do that. Here we go on to thesis statements. So thesis statements, how to write a thesis statement for an argument essay. So you need to think umbrella. And you guys, how old were you when the song Umbrella came out by Rihanna? I was in high school. That's some time. So man, you guys were maybe not born. I don't know. Anyway, so think Umbrella by Rihanna, and all the GIFs from this video were way too spicy for a class PowerPoint. So sorry, I just put a generic Rihanna GIF in here for you. Your thesis. So basically thesis, it needs to be clarified in scope. So specific, you need to have a why or how, but it still needs to be broad enough to be supported by all your assertions. So you need to think of it like an umbrella that has to cover all 3 of your assertions. Okay. But it can't be too broad because that's a bad umbrella too. That's too hard to carry around. Okay. So it's got to be the right size umbrella. So you have to think about what is the common theme or reason in all 3 of my assertions. Umbrella to cover those assertions. But metaphors, not always my thing. Hopefully you got it. Okay, I'm going to show you an example. All right, so some key points before we get into the example. So your thesis is your main argument in response to the prompt. Overall, do you agree or disagree with Sherry Turkle? I know some of you are getting sick of talking about Sherry Turkle, so sorry, this is all we're doing for the rest of the unit. Acknowledge a specific counterclaim to your argument. So just like in your first assertion, you need to acknowledge a specific counterclaim in your thesis as well. So the main reason why people would think the opposite of you, you need to acknowledge and refute that counterclaim in your thesis as well. And then you're going to state your claim that says why that counterclaim reason is actually not true, or why your reason is more important. So you need to make sure you have a persuasive reason. Your reason for your claim should be specific, like I said, but still broad enough, like an umbrella, to cover all of your 3 assertions, to be supported by all those assertions. You need to make it clear which side you are arguing. So this was an issue in some of your assertions too. Oops. You can't just say some think this while others think this. That's not defensible, because the fact that some people think one way and other people think another way is a fact, right? We can't prove that, or we can prove that true or false. So you need to say some people think this, but actually this other side of the argument is better, right? That's an opinion. And then finally, you need to add a blueprint of your assertions at the end of your thesis statement. So a summary of your 3 assertions. Blueprint, right, is like how you build your argument. It's the plan for how you're going to build your argument. Okay, so an example. So going back to our flip-flop practice prompt. So prompt, are flip-flops the best possible shoe? 3 sample assertions. So basically I'm saying they're not appropriate or safe for many situations. They are considered unprofessional in most work environments. And finally, there are many shoes that are just as comfortable as flip-flops, but safer and more appropriate for all environments. So the common theme in all of those assertions is that they are not as appropriate as other shoes for many places and situations. So my common theme in my thesis statement, I'm not saying like work environments, because that's just one specific reason, right? If that was in my thesis, if that was my main thesis statement, then all of my assertions wouldn't support that. Only one of my assertions would. So I need to come up with this common theme between all of these ideas to kind of tie them all together. This is the umbrella that is covering those 3 assertions. Umbrella. Okay. So my thesis then would be, although flip-flops are indeed very comfortable, so I'm acknowledging the counterclaim, they are not the best possible shoe because they are inappropriate for many everyday situations. And then I do my blueprint, and all of these reasons support that bigger reason. So I still have a how or why. I'm not just saying they're not the best possible shoe. That's too broad. That umbrella is too big, right? I still need a more specific reason, but it is broad enough to cover all of these more specific reasons, right? So you're thinking about it like your big claim is the broadest one, right? Do you agree or disagree? And then you're getting a little more narrow with your thesis statement. And then your assertions are the most narrow arguments that you make. They all need to support that bigger thesis statement. Okay, hopefully the umbrella metaphor is helpful to you. We'll see. I don't know. Anyway, so you're going to go write your thesis in the drafting document in the intro paragraph box. Don't stress out too much if you're like having trouble, right? The whole thing is like, on Friday, I'm going to have looked at your work and figure out what you need to do to revise, right? So like, I'm going to figure out what the issues are. We will revise on Friday. Don't freak out if you're having trouble, just get something down, okay? And then, so once you have revised your assertions and replied to those comments and written your thesis statement in the drafting document, then click turn in on today's assignment so that I know you've completed both of those things. Okay? All right. Well, hopefully that was short and concise for you. Sorry about the weird glare on my glasses. Here I am. And I will see you on Friday. Bye, y'all.